Hey everybody, welcome to Live Coding with Jesse. I'm Jesse, and today we're going to continue on with what we were doing yesterday. And once we start coding, I'll give a little recap of what we did yesterday in case you missed it. You can always go back and watch the recording of the stream. They're all available on the freeCodeCamp YouTube channel. Everything's in the Live Coding with Jesse playlist. Probably going to break those out into some other playlists, but we'll always keep keep the one big playlist so it's easy to find everything. I just want to say, I want to explain a little bit about the technical difficulties that have been going on in the last few streams, because I think we finally figured it out. So Harshit and Rook both pointed out to me that one of the extensions that I was using in Visual Studio Code was taking up a lot of resources. So I hadn't even thought about that. I kept looking at all the programs that I had open, not even, for whatever reason, it just didn't cross my mind at all to check out Visual Studio Code. But I think that's the problem. Right now the stream seems to be going fine. Let me know if it's not working for you. But the plugin is called, what was it? Import cost display. Yeah, the plugin's called Import Cost. So you may have the plugin and not even realize it. I know I've recommended in the past to download the React food truck extension. I'm sorry, I keep calling it plugins, but in Visual Studio Code they're called extensions. So if you have the React food truck extension for Visual Studio Code, it may have automatically downloaded the import cost extension as well. So if you're having issues with your computer being sluggish and it just started, recently after you've, downloaded that, check it out, try disabling it. That seemed to be my problem. So hopefully we have everything figured out now. That was a really cool extension, but it wasn't necessary. I could see maybe turning it on just to check everything once or twice and then turning it back off. Definitely not something that I need on all the time. So not really a big deal. But I just want to let everybody know, since I feel kind of bad because I recommended that and it may be crashing computers out there. Okay, Rook mentions in the live chat that Rook went searching for issues with that plugin after Harshit mentioned it. So thanks for giving credit where it is due. Harshit is the one that first thought of it, and then Rook helped out by sending me some links to some GitHub issues about it. So it definitely wasn't just me or just Harshit. A lot of other people had noticed the same issues with that extension. All right. We're going to get started. I'm going to briefly check the live chat, see if there's anything that I should address right now. Once we get started, I'm going to take a little while, about 25 minutes, to do some coding. And then I'll take a break and go back to the live chat and do some coding again after. So just be patient if you ask something in the live chat. I may not see it right away, but I will get to it eventually. Also, I have a cough. I'm a little congested and have a cough, so if I sound weird and I cough a lot, that's why. I apologize. I'll try not to do it too much. And I'm a little out of it. I hope I'm not getting sick again. I've just been sick way too much lately. But I'm going to do my best. And I'm sure you all keep me on track if I do something weird. We do have one question that I'd like to address. Deboprio says, I cloned the project from GitHub into a folder, and inside it I open Git Bash and run the npm install command so that it installs the dependencies. It's giving me errors. I can't npm start it. Deboprio, sorry, I'm trying really hard to get that right. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but what version of Node are you running? Sometimes we run some stuff that requires a later version of Node. I don't think we are on this project, but I'm not 100% sure. So that could be it. If you are running like the latest version of Node, then that's probably fine. Maybe if you could let me know specifically what some of the errors are, I could try to figure them out. Let's see. All right. It looks like there's some other stuff in the live chat, but I'll get to that after we do some coding. So let's get started. And let me switch my screens. There we are. So I left this sidebar up just to show you, again, it's the import cost plugin. So if you have this and it's causing problems, you can just disable it, and you should be alright after that. And we'll find out, because when I start doing things, if the stream gets really laggy and drops frames and stuff, then we'll know. The really good news, though, is I don't think there's anything wrong with my network. I was afraid that something happened and I didn't have the same network speed as I did normally, and that would have been a disaster, because if I'm trying to stream every day, like, I need a good network. So it seems like it's okay. I did a network speed test. I can actually stream at a much higher resolution than I am now. I could probably stream 4K if I wanted to, and as long as my machine could handle it. So basically my network's amazing. I'm limited by my computer's capabilities. Maybe one day I'll try to stream really high quality. There's no reason to, but it might just be cool to see if it could work. I wouldn't experiment like that on the freeCodeCamp channel, though. I'll probably do it on my own. That way if I mess it up, it's not that many people will be affected by it. Alright, let me start ngrok. So I'm about to paste a link into the live chat. If you click that link, you'll be able to see the project as we're working on it. You can inspect it in DevTools, and it'll be a lot easier for you all to really kind of see what's going on for yourself. And I haven't said this for a while, but I do want to thank the guy who made ngrok, which I can't remember his name right now, but his Twitter handle is at inconceivable, so you can see it right there, who's letting us use ngrok for free at a level that, you know, normally you'd have to pay money for this many connections at once. I don't even know if it's a set plan, even to have this many connections. So very, very generous. And so if you get a chance and you're in a position to use the paid version of ngrok sometime, highly recommend it. Like I said, the guy who works on it, who made it, is seems to be a really good guy from the interaction that I've had with him. All right, let's get our Pomodoro timer started. And let me bring over, I had said I was going to go over what I did earlier, or what we did yesterday, so I'll do that. So basically yesterday, all we did, doesn't seem like much, but it did take a while. We just made each one of these inbox, really sorry, each one of these menu items that you can open and close the submenu is now a component. It's an instance of this one component, and they each have their own state. And that's working fine. We stop there. But here's the goal for today. What we want to happen is when I click on one of these, so let's say I clicked on this About menu item, I want the side nav, the side drawer to open, and I would like the corresponding, so let's say that this inbox was really About. I want it to be opened as well. So first step is let's get this side drawer to open when we click on one of these. We'll get that working, and then we'll tackle the final piece. And I like to break it down in this way because you can take little steps, test the steps, and make commits that are kind of like logical little chunks. And it just makes it seem less overwhelming in general. Alright, so here's our drawer item. That's the component that we made yesterday. We're going to leave this alone for now. We'll come back to it later, hopefully, if we have time and can get this other stuff worked out. Here's our layout component. Our layout component is the parent component of our top nav, our app bar, and our drawer. So if we need to be able to share state between these, between the drawer and the app bar, then we ought to have something living here in the layout.js component. Alright, so let's see. We did do some work yesterday. So let me try to remember what we did so we can just build on that. So we already have state here, and that's the drawer. So I guess drawer is, if it's false, it's not open. If it's true, it is open. We already have this toggle drawer here, which is wonderful. That's what we want. We also have this expand item function here, which we're not using yet, but eventually we're going to go back to this. So for right now, all we're worried about is this toggle drawer. And let's see our drawer component, and we're passing down this state drawer. So open, true or false, which is great. And then we also are passing down this toggle drawer function. And now you can see in the drawer, we should have a click. Where is it? Open, on close. Toggle drawer. Okay, so we're calling toggle drawer here. We're passing it down as a prop. And we also should have, where's the button? Oh, you know what? It's in app bar. We're passing down toggle drawer into app bar. Great. Okay, so we're already passing in to app bar what we need. So this will be not that hard then. Let's get app bar out here. Alright, it looks like we have some stuff going on here commented out. We'll have to go back to that. Probably not in today's stream, but I'll have to go back to that and see what we were doing here. Alright, so these are all just styles. We've done the styles as a JavaScript object. That's one way you can do things in React. So we're not going to mess with styles too much today, but we have in some previous streams if you're interested. Alright, so we're bringing in toggle drawer here as props. So normally you have to do like this, props, and then whatever you want, but we are doing, so we're passing props in here, so we don't need the this, and then here I believe this is destructuring, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is called object destructuring, I think, and we're saying it equals props. So now we can just use toggle drawer inside of this function, and it'll work. Just save some space. It's not really worth it if you're only using it like once or twice, but if you're using it more than that, like we're using classes, it really cleans things up a lot. But it can be confusing if you haven't seen it before. So just wanted to point that out. Alright, so I need to find the menu items. This component's pretty cluttered right now. We're going to refactor this, but there's no sense in refactoring until we really have it built out the way we want. We may end up doing some unnecessary refactoring otherwise, and we just don't really have time to do all that. We have a tight deadline. So this thing needs to be done in a month, like ready to go live. I'm feeling a little pressure right now because I do have some other sites that I need to work on as well. I'm expecting I'm going to be working late. February is going to be rough. Let's see. Typography component about link. There we go. All right, so this is what we want. Let's put an on-click. You know what? We already put an on-click handler down here. Now I remember we did this. We did this recently. So we don't want. Yeah, we don't want this. We don't need this open side drawer. We need. What did we call it? Toggle drawer? Yeah. Toggle drawer. Let's make sure. Alright. Okay. Now, I added this in here. Obviously we don't need to pass this in, right? If we go to our layout where we have toggle drawer, we don't need to use anything. But I'm going to keep it in for right now because this is one potential way that we may end up doing the next step and expanding that menu item. So I'm going to leave it in there for now. It shouldn't mess anything up, but we'll see. And alright, so that saves. And which one? Alright, so if we click the Faith and Life link, we should open. Alright. Awesome. That was way easier than I thought. We had pretty much had everything already written, everything done. So I'm clicking on this, and it works. Wonderful. Now would be a great time, I think, to refactor a bit and take these out and make them their own component. And that should clean up. It should clean up a decent amount in here. And while this is all still fresh in our minds, I think it would be good because we can pass down this toggle drawer again, another level. You can see we're starting to get a little complicated with passing things down. Maybe I might want to start thinking about using something else to manage state other than just like component state. We'll have to think about it. I'm not ready to switch quite yet. I'm still okay with this. But I'm right on the edge. If we go to like another level of having to pass things down, I'm not comfortable with that. It'll start to get too complicated. Okay, so let's make another component, and let's just copy and paste a lot of what we did here, save some time, and we'll remove. Let's see. We don't need using classes. Should we grab the whole LI? Yeah, we'll grab the whole LI. Let's copy that, and then inside of here, we'll replace this div with what we have here. Oops, let me save this so we can get our syntax highlighting. We're in components, and let's call this, should we call this app bar menu item? Yeah, that's what it is. I usually like shorter names, but that describes things accurately, so we'll stay with that. Let's fix our indentation a bit, get rid of all those lines, and we're not importing typography, so I think that's why we're getting this. Yep, it's not defined. So let's make sure we define that, and let's see if we can just grab it. No. I just like to copy and paste when I can. Here we are. So let's import typography, and we don't need either one of these. I think we're using. No, we don't need any of that. We don't need collapse or the expand. There we are. And let's see what styles we do need. So we need classes list li and classes ul link. So let's find it over here. List li. I'm going to leave them in here for now. And before I need to double check to make sure these aren't being used elsewhere in this component before I get rid of them. So let's add this in here. We can get rid of nested because we're not using that. And remember, this object is just our styles. Think about this just like your style sheet. And we did have all these styles in this component, but now since we're moving our markup, right, if this were just HTML, we're basically moving our HTML from one HTML file over to another one. So if we want the styles to be applied, we have to move the styles over as well. And the UL link is the other one that we need. So I know these styles look a little different than you're used to if you're just using CSS or Sass. But really, it's not that hard. Just imagine everywhere where you would normally put a hyphen, instead you camel case things. It's basically the same as that for the most part. You need to put quotation marks around a lot of your values. But other than that, it's very, very similar to normal CSS. Alright, so now we should have all the styles that we need. We need to change the name here because we don't want it to be drawer item. So let's change it now to app bar menu item. I'm going to save that and alright, we need to pass down some information, right, because we don't want all of them to say the same thing and link to the same thing. So first let's import this. So let's import, let's see, app bar menu item from app bar menu item. So now we can use this. It's red because we haven't used it yet, but now we can use this down here. So let's go back to where we had all of these, and we'll replace each one with our new component, and that should shorten things up quite a bit. So here we are, here's our component. So we're gonna make within this UL, right, remember, because we have our LIs over here in our new component, we're gonna make 4 of these new components. Eventually we'll actually we'll probably store a lot of the data separately, pull it in and just map over the data so we can make the markup, even shorter. But for now, we only have 4. It's not really a big deal to actually have 4 components here. I see a lot of activity in the live chat as well. Just hang in there. If you have a question, in about 10 minutes, I'm going to go back to the live chat and answer some questions. So let's make our menu item. Let's use our, what was it, app bar menu item. And we need to pass some things down as props. So we definitely need toggle drawer, and we're just gonna say toggle drawer, and I think we can do it like that because we've destructured it up here. Let me double check though. Yes, we have. So we can do toggle drawer. And let me clarify as well that that's how we've done it here. Yep. Alright, so we can we'll add toggle drawer, and then we also need to add a title an ID, and our text here. And if we use the ID here as well, if we just make it the same, then I think we could save ourselves from having to pass in two different props for that. So let's do that. Alright, so here's our first. I'm going to write it like this since we're going to have a few props here. It'll be easier to see. So we'll need an ID. Let's see. We'll do link ID. I don't want it to be confused. I don't want there to be any confusion about, you know, what we're using here. So that's why I'm putting link ID instead of just a normal ID. And in this case, we're gonna put. Let's go. I'm just going to say faith in life. And now, let's see, talk control, faith in life. We can add these here to destructure so we can still use, and actually I never double checked to make sure destructuring was the right word. Hopefully I'm using that correctly. Alright, good. Object destruction, good. Thank you, Rook, for clarifying that for me. I just don't want to mess people up and say the wrong thing, and I'd hate to have something happen and they'd mess something up just because I can't remember the right words. Alright, so we have link ID, right? Is that what we called it? Yeah, link ID. And now we'll use title. And let's do faith and life. Let's change that up. Let's say content, faith and life, and we can reuse that for the title as well. Alright, now let's change things over here so that we can use this. So here we're going to bring in link ID, and we're also going to use our link ID here. Link ID. Do I have to... We'll see if that works. Let me know though, do I need to put link ID in here? I always forget when I'm using arrow functions in here. Let me know. We'll find out as soon as I save this and see if I get an error. Alright, the href. You know what? We need the do we need the href? No, we really don't. Because we're not actually linking to anything. Alright, we don't need to worry about that. We may even be able to take this out completely. Let's try to take the href out. And alright, for our title, we're just going to add content. And we're also going to use it down here. So down here, right, this is just the interior content of this component. And we're going to add our curly brackets. That means we can put JavaScript inside of there. So I can just say content. Whoops, this has to be inside. And that'll pull in whatever value we pass in, which in this case is going to be faith and life. And this looks good. Oops, we can get rid of this. So we don't actually need this. And we could refactor this to a stateless functional component. I'm not going to do it right now, so I want to make sure we have time to actually get things working. But you can see right now we really aren't doing much of anything in here, so we could shorten this up a bit and make it a functional component. Alright, so I'm going to save that, and this component should be ready. I don't, unless I mess something up, this should be done. Now let's copy this and paste it a few times. 1, 2, 3. And now we're just going to change the names, and this one will be about. And I believe the next one is academics. Whoops, lowercase. And admissions. Admissions. Now let's delete all of these. Whoa, too far. There we go. Alright, wonderful. So here's our 4 links. What did I mess up here? What's this? Trailing spaces not allowed. There we are. Alright, let's save that and see what we have. Alright, no errors. Excellent. And since I removed that href, you can see I don't automatically have the little cursor pointer that makes it look like it's clickable. We can add that in. I think I'd rather not have the href. In fact, let me remove this, the little pound sign, the hashtag there. And let's see. Great, that works. That works. That works. That works. Wonderful. Okay, they all work. So, like I said, the last thing I want to move in is this UL link. I want to add cursor pointer. So if you ever want something to have that cursor, you know, normally on a web page when you have an A tag, you have a link, you hover over it, the cursor changes. If you want that to happen on some other element, you could just add cursor pointer in the CSS. So let's save that and see if it worked. And if it did, see, so now we have that little hand icon. Wonderful. Alright, so we only have about just over 30 seconds left until the break, so I'm just going to go in to the live chat right now and answer a few questions. Actually, you know what, it'll be a good idea to commit. Let's just do a git status. So we've added a component here, or we've modified app bar, and then we've actually added this app bar menu item component. So let's do a git add, right? And I could do the little period that adds everything, and then we need to do a git commit. And when we commit, I'll do the M flag. Then I can put my commit message in line. Create component for app bar menu items. Alright, that works. Now it's going to go through all its tests. It's going to auto format our code according to the coding standards that we're using, and it also lints everything, so it checks all of our code. Now it's going to do testing. It actually opens up our some of our pages in a browser, make sure that certain elements are there on the page, and we've passed all the tests. Now we can push, so we're going to do a git push. Now I know yesterday we found out from Rook that you can actually just type in git push, but there are some caveats to that. It doesn't work in every situation, so I'm not going to do that because I don't want to confuse anyone who's new with Git. If they try to do it like that and can't understand why it's not working, because potentially they may not have seen when we did that, and I don't want to have to repeat the caveats every time. So I'm just going to stick with Git Push origin and hit enter. Oh, and I need the passphrase. So thankfully, LastPass is working this time. Yesterday it didn't work, so I can get the password for this much more quickly. So let's paste that in, and then I'm going to do SSH add and paste it again, and then that way I won't have to enter it again as long as I don't restart my computer. Now all this code is in our GitHub repo on the master branch. So if you want to check out anything that we've done, check it out now. If you already have the code, everything cloned, then you can do a git pull to get it. If you fork the repo first, actually there's another step, right? If you forked it and then downloaded it, you need to update your fork. Correct? But basically the code's all up to date on this repository on the master branch now. So let me set the 5-minute timer, and I'm going to go to the live chat. Let me scroll up a bit. Blake asks, how's your day been? Actually, not too bad. I felt, like I said, I felt congested and had a sore throat when I woke up. But I woke up and I got in a little workout, which was, so this is day 4 that I've worked out every day for 4 days, which probably sounds like not that impressive, but for me it's super impressive because my workout schedule has been so off. I can't even remember the last time I worked out 4 days in a row. So I think that's been contributing to me being sick so much. If you watch the streams a lot, I think you may have noticed that I've been sick. I don't know. It seems like way more than a normal person should be sick. I think part of it may be because I haven't been exercising. So anyway, I got in a workout, but I feel really tired. And I had a meeting this morning, which it was hard to stay awake during the meeting. But I got through that. And everything's going all right. The only thing that I can complain about is somebody was not very nice to my wife in the comment section of a blog post, and that made me upset. But my wife responded. She can handle herself. She's tough. But other than that, I'm okay. That kind of made me a little bit angry. And my Bitcoin and Litecoin and Ether investments are going up today. It kind of had a little dip yesterday, so that makes me happy. I don't really have that much money in it. I just kind of have a little bit to play around in. So, not sure if you wanted the whole recap of my day, but there it is. Rook says that extension we were talking about earlier should perform better with the latest update. So maybe I'll try that. Like I said earlier, I don't really think that, what was that plugin called? Import cost? I don't really think the import cost plugin is necessary for my work, so I probably won't turn it on again for a while, if at all. But it's good to know that they're working on the performance improvements. Vivek asked what language we're going to code in. Mostly JavaScript. React style JavaScript. Harshit says Westboss recently released a cool free CSS Grid course. That's cool. Yeah, I saw some people on Instagram and on Twitter were posting about that. So yeah, check that out if you want an intro to CSS Grid. I haven't really done any of the Westboss courses, but so many other developers say that they're really good. So if I get some time one day, I'm definitely going to check that out. Oh, okay, Harshit's going to do the course today. Harshit, please let me know how it is, if you think it would be helpful, because I definitely need to learn more about CSS Grid. Harshit says the URL is cssgrid.io. Deboprio says he's running 8.9.4 for his Node version. Yeah, that should work. That should be fine. So it's definitely not your version. Oh, Harshit, you got it. All right. So, Deboprio says running npm start causes errors. And Harshit says npm start is for production. We have to run, is it run dev? Is that what we use? I get confused with that because, where's our package JSON file? Depending on the project, we sometimes have different commands for starting the servers for development. In production, there it is. Yeah, you want to go with npm dev or yarn dev or npm run dev or whatever you want to do, and that should work. Let me know if that doesn't work. Peter says, what peripherals do you use with your Mac? I use this thing, the touchpad. What they call it, the Magic something. I don't know. All this stuff with Mac is called Magic whatever. It's not really magic. It's just technology, right? I don't know. But I really love this thing. This is the best touchpad that I've ever used. It was weird to get used to it at first, but mostly all like the hand gestures are my favorite thing. So there are some things that it's easier to do with the mouse, but I've gotten used to this and I kind of like it. And then my keyboard is just the normal standard Mac keyboard. So I've thought about getting a different keyboard. Everybody talks about these mechanical keyboards. I might get one day, but for now this works fine. All right, let me get back to the code. All right, so I know I didn't get through everything in the live chat, so sorry if I didn't get to your question or comment yet. I will definitely get to it before I end the stream. So just hang in there if you can. If you have to go, that's cool. You can always check out the stream later on when the recording's available, and you can listen in for my answer to your question then. All right, so let's go to... All right, next step. Start our timer. Here's our next step. So now we have this opens when we click it, but we want more. We want it to not only open, but also open this side menu, the appropriate one. So first thing we're gonna do is let's make 4 sections here and let's name them. We'll give them the proper names to match these. It'll be easier to just think about it and see if it's working. So that'll be an easy first step to get us started. Pretty sure we can do that and there won't be any issues. Let's get rid of our package JSON. We don't need that anymore. And our drawer item component. This is where we need to go. So our drawer item component, when we made it yesterday, we never took the step to pass down props. We have values hard-coded, so we need to do that. So we just did it with the app bar menu. We're going to do the same thing again. So this will be good if you're kind of new to this. You maybe were a little confused by what we were doing with our props. We're going to do it again. Let's see, where are we? Our drawer. So let's go to our drawer, and we can see here's where we're bringing in this drawer item. So we have our drawer item here, but we need a few more things. We need this primary text, and what else do we need? Yeah, we're going to need primary text for sure. I'm thinking I might want to call it something different, but I don't know what. So I'll stick with primary text for right now. And in this case, our primary text is going to be what was the first one? About. So it'll be about. And let's add text inbox. All right, that looks good for that level. Let's add something else. This is our submenu items. And what we're going to need to do for our submenu items is have an array of objects. So for now, I'm just going to do some stuff as a demo. We're obviously not going to want to have this all right here where we're going to put in the component. This is going to be elsewhere, either in this component or preferably in a data file, and then we'll pull it in. And when we get to that part, probably not going to get to it today, but later on we'll get to it. And if I refactor it, when I'm not streaming and you want to know how it works, you can always check out the code, and you could ask me on a stream, and I'll kind of walk through it. So we put our curly braces here, so that means, hey, we're going into JavaScript land. So anything we put in here will be JavaScript, and now we have an array, and we're going to have an array of objects, right? So we need more curly braces, and we're going to have we'll have key value pairs. So we'll have text, and in this case, I'm going to bring up, on my other screen, I'm going to bring up the current site as it is, just to get a few, forget it, I'm not going to do that. Let's keep it simple. Link 1, and text link 1, and then we're going to need a link URL, which is going to be, for now, let's just give it a hash. Alright, but you can see how this is going to work out. So let me copy this, and we're going to paste it a few times. Alright, so we'll have 3 items underneath. That's good. Let me clean this up a bit so it'll be a little easier just to see what's going on. Whoa. What is going on here? Alright, I was attempting to format this properly, but it's not working. Let's see. There we go. Just wanted you to be able to see the structure here of what we have of key value pairs. Now, for some of you, this is going to be an easier concept, but could potentially be confusing if you haven't kind of seen this before. So hopefully this is a little bit easier. I can't keep it in this format, but then these would just be too huge. But you can see our submenu items, so we're going to have link 1, we'll change this to link 2, and link 3. And the reason we're doing this as an array of objects is that now when we pass this over, we'll be able to use map on these and just go through everything and keep making this collapsible, well, not the collapse, these list items here. We can just go down through and just add in as many list items as we want, and we can pass in a different array for each drawer item here. So if it's not all making sense to you now, if you worked with React and seen some of our previous projects, hopefully you can kind of visualize what's going to happen here. If it doesn't make sense now, it will make a lot more sense once we get some real data in here. But now that we have this, I'm going to copy and paste. Let me verify that I don't need anything else for this. Alright, not bad. If we do want these to be links, we're going to have to add something else in here, but for right now, this will just work. We're not really trying to demonstrate the links because we don't even have most of these pages built out. Alright, so let's get rid of these. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. So we'll just change the names up here. So we have about, academics, admissions, and academic admissions, faith and life. Okay. Let's save it. And now we need to bring these in. So let's use our destructuring, our object destructuring again. Save us some space, save us some typing. So we'll have our primary text, and we'll also have our sub-menu items. Sub-menu items. Great. Where are we at? Here, this is going to be our primary text. And then down here, this is going to be a little bit more complicated. So within our collapse and our list, we have all these list items. So what we want to do here is go into some JavaScript, right? And let's say, oh yeah, what did we call it? Submenu. Submenu items.map. What is this? Function accepts 3 arguments. The map method callback. Cool. It gives me a little explanation of this. Awesome. All right. So we're gonna say item. And so what just happened? Let's make this a little bit easier to read. Submenu items. Submenu items.map. So each thing is going to be called item, and then within there we want to bring in this list item. So let's copy that and paste it in. Whoa, I got a lot of red right now. Oh, trailing spaces. What is this? Missing key prop. Yeah, we'll be fine. A lot of this red will go away as we go. So it's true, we do need a key prop, and we will use as a, let's clean this up a bit, make it a little easier. As a key, we're going to use the trace the text. Let's use, no, we can't use the URL. It will be different. We'll just use the text for now. oops, where it'll be item.text, right? So we're going to have access to this text and URL for each item. So think of it like a loop. If you're not familiar with map, like imagine that we're looping through each one of these objects in this array. And so each one of those objects, if it would be the same as if we did like item and then in brackets, 0. So it's the first item. And the next time it will be item 1, item 2, right? But we don't have to do that with map. So item.text is our key for now. Probably won't be the key forever. Harshit, I see you just said use index. I usually would like to use something else other than index, but not usually a string like that. For right now, this will work. Key index text, and we need to insert here item text, and we'll add in, just so that we have it here somewhere, we're going to add in link URL equals link URL. Whoops. Item dot link URL. Okay. Now let's see everything. Indentation. Alright, I think these are all indentation things, which are okay. Alright. Not worried about that. Let's get rid of this. And just gonna glance through this again one more time. Alright, looks good. Looks good. Alright, let's save. Let's make sure we save this. Let's go back here. No errors. Excellent. Let's check over here. Alright, we have about, we have link 1, 2, 3. Link 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Excellent. Alright, and as we click these, right, nothing happens, which is to be expected right now. But we have successfully pulled these out, put them in another component. So each one of these is its own component, and each one can take an array of objects to make as many links underneath as we want, which is great. Doesn't seem like a big deal now, but when we end up wanting to put all these links in, it's going to be a really nice feature to be able to just pass in an array. All right. Okay. Now, here's the the part that I've been wondering about, and I'm still not exactly sure how we're going to do it. I should commit this, though, right now before we do that. Alright, git for item. Oh, you know what? We already made it. I was just confused because it says we just modified it. I forgot that we actually made this component yesterday. We just didn't really finish making it to be fully functional. Alright, git commit. Alright, so I'm going to do a git commit with the AM flag, which means I'm adding it and sending the message at the same time as I'm committing. And we'll say edit okay, that works. We're going to run through all our tests, do our auto formatting. If you notice here, look, all of our red lines are already gone. It's formatted everything properly for us. which is awesome. It saves us time from having to go through and try to fix those lines. Great. We passed, and now we'll do a Git Push origin. Right, and now that's up on GitHub. All right, let's think for a second about how we're going to do this. Let's go back out here. So again, the desired functionality is that we click on About, the side nav opens, which we've already covered that. But I also want this to be expanded. So first step is, let's figure out what makes this expand or not expand. And then we can try to figure out how to influence that. So we'll go to our component that's draw item component. And let's see, here's our component that's the collapse component. And let's say list items, state open items, expand less, expand more. Okay, this is probably for our icon, so we're not worried about that. Let's expand item. So what we are worried about is this. I believe it's this one, this in state open items. So if our value for collapse in is true, it's open. If it's false, it's closed. I think that's what's going on here. Correct me if I'm wrong. So we need somehow to be able to modify this when a click occurs. Okay. And this is where I wish I wasn't kind of sick, because I really want my whole brain to be on this one. All right. All right, so my original idea was just to have this state live in layout, which is the parent component. But the problem became, if the state lives in layout, then when we click one of these, all of them would open or close. So that's why we move state here and we move these to a component. So it makes sense for this component to be able to control whether it's open or closed. Another thought potentially could be I just keep going back to Redux and thinking about, oh, I would do it like this in Redux. Really, that is what we need. If we were to bring the state up to layout, what we would need is a separate state for each item in that menu. Right now, we could hard code that and that would be fine, but that wouldn't work as well if we were going to have lots of menu items. Now, realistically, we're not going to have a lot of menu items. It's probably only going to be 4 that have the expansion. We're going to add maybe a few more that won't be expandable. Harshit does say that Apollo has a link state, and because Apollo has the Redux replacement. All right, so Harsha did write a blog post on that. Maybe I'll check that out. Let me work through this. I tell you what, let's try to do this just with component state. Then Harshit, I'll read your blog post on that, and maybe we'll go back and refactor it. And the only reason I'm even comfortable doing this with component state is because those links will most likely never change. Those main links, they've never changed on the website for years, and my boss wants to keep them as is. So I guess I'm okay with this. Normally it would not ever make sense to hard code stuff like that in like the links. But let me show you a way we could possibly do this if you didn't want to use Redux or Apollo's Redux like thing that they have now. So in our layout component under state, let's go with let's see, hold on, let me see. I'll have here under state, let's have drawer items. Let's see if we can do this. About false academics, false emissions, false, and faith in life, false. Alright. Oops, I need a comma. Alright, let's save that. Hopefully y'all can see where I'm going with this. And then we need to pass these values down. I'm not exactly sure if I can even do this in here. Why did I make this an array? I don't need that. Okay. So drawer items is an object that has key value pairs for each of the kind of drop down things that we want. Tell you what, my timer went off. Let me take 5 minutes here. Go to the live chat. I'm going to answer some more questions, and then we'll come back and finish off this. My goal is just to get the functionality that we want. It may not be the best way to do it, but we can always refactor. That's generally the way I like to go about things, is get it to work first, then worry about refactoring. Then that's especially how I like to do things when something needs to be done quickly. Because if worse comes to worse, we can always use the way that works, but it's not ideal, and then go back to it, at some later point. Let me scroll back up to where I left off. All right, so Andrew says, hey Jesse, congratulations on finishing the nano degree. I really enjoyed your review, and thank you again for letting us get a peek into your day-to-day work. Oh, you're welcome, and I'm glad you liked the video. Sorry about being so late on that. I know I had said that I was going to make a video for a long time. I finished my nano degree way back at maybe like the end of October or something, beginning of November. And it took me, this long till January to get the video made. So it's finally out there. If you haven't seen it yet and you're interested, there's a link to my YouTube channel in the description of this video. Check it out. It's the latest video on there. It's my review of my experience with the React Nano degree. If you don't have time, the video is only a few minutes long, but if you don't have time, my overall assessment is I think it was a good use of my time and money to do the Nano degree program. I learned a lot. So if you're in a situation where it makes sense for you, I would recommend it. Peter asked, how do you jump back the indentation? It's Shift Tab. So if you want to, you can highlight, within your code editor, you can highlight a block of text and then tab to go forward, Shift Tab to go backward. Let's see. John Hansen says, you can pass down on-click events and even reuse on-toggle drawer, though it can get messy unless you control bubbling and capturing. Event.stop propagation fixes many issues. Okay. Good to know. Rook says, how do you do pseudo selectors or media queries and that inline CSS support it? No, inline CSS does not support media queries. So if you want to do media queries, you can't do it inline. As far as I know, last time I checked. If anything changed, then sorry, let me know. But yeah, you can't do that. And pseudo selectors, yeah, so if you want to do a pseudo selector like before or after, that doesn't work inline either. So you can only use a subset of CSS if you want to go strictly inline. Rook says, when you see a squiggly line and want to see the error, you can press F8 or just hover over it. Okay, that's good to know. Sometimes it's hard to get a hover on it if it's a tiny squiggly line. So F8, cool. I learned so many useful things from you all. I really appreciate that. Peter says, all those tests and stuff when you commit, are they default or do you have to add them? Says, I'm a total Git noob. Oh, don't worry about it. We're all noobs at something, I'm sure. There's just way too much going on, and even within web development, there's way too many things to be an expert at everything. So, Peter, we did have to make those tests, and by we, I mean Harshit. He made the test. So yeah, they don't come by default. You can, take a look at some of the code. Maybe we'll do a stream where we maybe write some tests. That might be a good thing to do. I need myself to learn more about tests, so maybe we'll try to do that. Depending on the time, though, that might be something that we do a stream about after we launch the site, because that's not usually a good idea, but unfortunately we just don't have a lot of time to get it launched. Vivek says hello. Hey Vivek, thanks for joining us. Evo's here. Hey Evo, how's it going? Let's see. Oh, Harshit said we have instructions for the fork in the contributing file. So I did mention before about cloning and forking the repo. So check out our contributing file, contributing.md, that's in the repository. It'll give you a lot more info about that. Thank you for bringing that up, Harshit. Vivek asked what language I use. JavaScript. Let's see. Excel says git add dot is for add all to state, like -a. I guess I never used -a for all. So yeah, the dot, the little period after git add, that means all. So you just add everything to be ready. I think they call it staged when you do that. So you stage everything to be committed. All right. I'll come right back to where I left off in the live stream after we finish this next coding session. So here's what I'm going to do. We're going to try to make this work in the next session. If the next session ends before it works, I'm still going to finish, and I'll work on it later. Hopefully we'll get it done. If I can get it done before the session's over, then I'll just go straight to the questions. So right now I've added in a parent component, layout.js. I've added this drawer items in the state. And I have key value pairs for each of our items, each of our main links that'll be collapsible. So now we want to be able to pass this down. So the first thing I think we should do is try to pass these down to our to our drawer items and see if we can control them being open or closed just by kind of changing them here in our file. So we need to pass it down to the drawer first. So in drawer, let's go with drawer items equals this dot drawer the state dot drawer excuse me, drawer items, and that's probably just a space, indentation thing. Alright, so we're passing drawer items. Good. We shouldn't have any errors yet. Excellent. Now from drawer, let's go into our drawer and let's pass down. And this is going to be a little bit weird that we're doing it like this for now. We wouldn't want to keep it like this, but we are just for now. So we're going to say, let's see, open is open, and the is open value we're going to give it is going to be this props drawer item dot about. Does this make sense? Oh, thank you. Rick said, bless you, because I sneezed. Thank you. Right, and normally we wouldn't do this, like copy and paste it all. We would be mapping over these things, just like we did in our drawer item component, which is what we're going to go to next. We would do, did we do a map here? Yeah, right here is our map. So eventually we'll refactor and do that. So let's see, about academics, admissions, and then here, if you remember, I had hyphens. So we can't keep the hyphens in there. So we're going to have to use our bracket syntax, or bracket notation instead of dot notation, so that we can do this. So I saw someone said in there it'd be better to use, John said it'd be better to use faith and life altogether, leave out the hyphens. Which we could do that, it's true. But this is a cool opportunity just to show a different way to do it. All right, let's save that. Verify we don't have errors. Oh, we do. Cannot read property about of undefined. Okay, so we have something that's undefined here. Let's see what's going on. This props, drawer items. Let's go back to our layout. Drawer items. This state drawer items. Drawer items. Alright. So let's see. This props. Oops. I messed it up. I added a oh yeah, I really messed that up. Alright. Did I get them all? Oh, never mind. Let's change this. Alright, so I just totally messed up on spelling. So we're going to go drawer items and capitalization, lowercase. Alright, let's see if we get rid of that. Yay! Okay, we got rid of that. Let's verify these still work. Great, they still work. Okay, so now that we're passing this down, let's go to our drawer item component, and we should have access to the drawer item property. So is open. So open items, let's see if this works. So our open items equals this props is, no, we don't want to do it like that. Can we make this a stateless functional? Yeah, we're going to be able to eventually make this a stateless functional component. So let's remove this for now. And we're going to change this in just a minute. But for now, we can change this part, this collapse part. It's going to be this props is open. Okay, let's save that. Hopefully we don't get an error. Yay! So everything should be, oops, cannot read open items of null. Where are we using open items at? Open items. Okay, I have to change it here as well. Let's make sure it's not being used elsewhere. Props is open. Let's save that. Alright, so we click it. Now when I click this, nothing should happen. Well, actually we get an error, which is fine. That's what should happen. Because when we try to run this, it's not finding open items. Now, this is the test that should tell us whether or not this is going to be able to work. Here, if we change, let's change about to be true and save. When we go here, about should be open. Yay, it's open. Awesome. Now, let's close it. Say false, and then let's try to open admissions. Yay, admissions opens. Alright, great. So we can now control whether or not these are open and closed by modifying the state of layout, the parent component. Wonderful. So step 2 is now finished. We can control the state. Step 3, we need to be able to click it, right? So we need to change this. We need to use this expand item, modify it a bit to work with our new system here, and then pass it down to our component instead of having it right here. Okay, so let's do that now. So we need to make this our expand item. We can keep the name, that's great, and we need to make this be open items or drawer item. So this is going to be drawer item, but what we're going to do is get the previous state I want it to be open. We want it to be true or false. Drawer items. Oops, sorry. Drawer items. And what we want to do. Alright, this will be tough. So we're gonna send up that function. We're gonna send in the name, the ID, and then all right. I think we got it. I think I have it. Let's do this. It's been a little while since I've used this. This will need to be item ID. Item ID. No assertions. State dot item ID. Should we do it like this? Should we do it like this? Alright. I'm probably messing this up a lot. But here's what I'm trying to do. I think I'm just getting syntax wrong. Basically, what I'm trying to do is whatever the state of drawer items is, I want to keep it the same and only change the item that's just happened for the click. So, if some of them are already open, I want to keep it like that. So let me look up. What is this? Object. That's the. Is it the spread syntax? Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna check MDN for let object clone objects. Where is that? I know we've done this before. Pre-stage drawer items, your updated key value. Okay, so rooks. I just saw Leonardo says, Jesse, you demand. Thank you, I appreciate that. All right, so Rook's typing some stuff in for me. Prestate.draweritems.your updated key value. Okay. That's what I was missing. Drawer items, and then that syntax. Expected token. need that. No. I think I have too many parentheses. No. No, that was the right amount. What am I missing? I need another one of these, don't I? No. I'm messing something up here. Alright. Consistent spacing? Is that what I'm messing up? Oh. So Rook's saying remove that and then draw items. And then we're gonna do key value, item ID. It's gonna be, here we go. Alright, Harshit has some stuff here. Draw item, previous state. Alright, let's see. Let me copy and paste what Harshit has. Alright, so let's. Alright. It's cool, Harshit. Let's see. Okay. So drawer items. Alright, so previous state, drawer item. Item ID, previous state, drawer item, item ID. Great. Okay, cool. Thank you, Harshit. This was what I was attempting to do. You can see I was kind of stumbling through it. So let me see. I have something wrong here. What is wrong? Do I need all of these? I think. Maybe I don't need that one. Items. Oops, spelling. Yeah, thank you, Rook. Items. And what am I doing here? Unexpected token. Alright, so let me go through these. So I need this one to close that one. And 1, 2. Good, this is closed here. And then this one is closed here. Alright, great. That should be fine. Previous items. What is wrong? Alright, I can't see where this is going wrong. I'm missing. Oh, thanks, Harshit. I'm missing a parenthesis. There? No, did I get it wrong? Requires a space before. What the heck? Oh, is this what they want? All right. All right. Whew. So now previous state is not defined. Oh, prev state. That's what it is. Prev state. There we go. All right. So at this point, hey, see you, Rook. Thanks for watching, and thanks for all the help. I really appreciate it. Okay, so we're close now. So next step is pass this function down through props all the way down to our drawer item. So we got to pass it to drawer, and then from drawer to drawer item, and then call this function on click. So let's find drawer, and what are we gonna do this? Let's call it expand item, right? Expand item equals this dot expand item, right? Harshit says you definitely need format on save. I know. I thought I set it to format on save, but I guess I didn't. I'll have to go back and check my settings again. All right. So now we're passing this down to drawer. Let's do the same here. And now I'm really wishing I didn't just copy and paste all these drawer items. But let's do expand item equals this props expand item, and now I'll just do this here. Actually, let me do it like this. A little messy, but we're going to change all this anyway. So now we're passing it from drawer down to drawer item. So it should be available for drawer item. We can get rid of this. And since we've already called it expand item, that'll be one less thing we have to worry about. So any place where we have this dot expand item, which should be once, good, just once, we can do this dot props dot expand item. But what we want to do is give it more than just this prop. So we're going to do a little arrow function, and we're going to pass it our ID. So what did we call that? Primary text. Oh, did we not give it an ID yet? Alright, we need to give it an ID. So I'm going to call this item ID. That's right. Yeah. Item ID. And I'm actually going to take away this props, because we're gonna destructure it. So let's do is open and what did we call this? Expand item. And then now this would work. And then anywhere where we're doing this props is open, we can change it to just is open. Wonderful. Alright, so we're going to do this, and we're going to pass it item ID. So let's add item ID in here. And then let's pass an ID into here. So we'll go with, where are we at? Alright, we're going to say item ID equals, and we're just going to give the ID of first about, So we have about and academics and academics admissions and faith and life. Wonderful. All right, so now we're passing down the proper ID, which will be used to send up on a click. Great. Save that and save that. And let's see what happens. Yay, no errors. Always a good sign. Yay, look at that. It works. It works. So when we do this, what's really happening is the click is calling this expand item function that's been passed down from layout to drawer item. So now it's the click, and the data from the click, which is our ID, is being passed up through drawer into layout. Once it gets to layout, the expand item takes that item ID and it uses it to change the state and set whatever that ID is to the opposite of what it previously was, so either true or false. Once the state changes, then that triggers a re-render, and then that's why we see the change here. So that's how React works. That's cool. This was really a cool exercise about state. So here's the thing. My timer went off, but the last step is now going to be pretty easy, because all we'll have to do is in this app bar menu item is we're going to pass down that same expand item function. We'll pass it all the way down to here, and then we'll have an on click. Our on click that's toggle drawer. Let's see. So we need more of the toggle. We need toggle drawer. We're already passing in link ID, so maybe we don't need that. Let's go up to drawer. Oh, let's see if this works. Where's our toggle drawer? It's in layout, isn't it? Alright, this is probably not the best way to do it, but it's the fastest way to get it working before I end. Let's see. Harshit said, you would have stuck for a half hour if I'd not written that snippet. I don't know about a half hour. I gave it 5 to 10 minutes because I already had like half of it typed out. Let's see. We have our toggle drawer. We're going to pass in item ID. This stage drawer, toggle drawer. Wonderful. And then what we also want to do is item ID, and we want to do expand item ID. Alright, so here's what I'm doing. Harshit says that's hyperbole. Well, it's not. It's it's close enough to being accurate that I don't know that it's really hyperbole because I mean we've all seen me take a really long time to do something. All right, let's see. Okay, so here's what I'm trying to do. So when toggle drawer is clicked, or if there's an item ID, it's going to expand that item. But If not, it's not going to expand it, right? So, but it's still going to toggle the drawer no matter what. We got to do it like this because sometimes we're going to toggle the drawer with the button for toggle, and we're not going to want something to expand automatically. So let's see if it works. The reason I said I don't want to do it like this because it just seems like my components are way too intertwined in different ways right now, and it would be a pain to split them apart and reuse them. That's why I keep saying something like Redux comes in handy, because it would let us keep our components way cleaner and more like contained and reusable. This solution works, and it might even work forever for this site. But it's definitely not ideal. It's not the best way. But this should work. So let's first try this. Great. So we're not getting an error saying like, hey, you didn't pass an item ID. Wonderful. Now let's click About. Yay! And now we've clicked About and it's expanded. Great. Academics expanded. Probably what we want to do though, we wouldn't want to keep everything expanded. We would want to close everything else. So the only thing I would add to this is maybe something that would, if there is an item ID, it would close everything. So it would set everything to false and then run this function. So that's the only difference. Other than that, this works. Yay, so we can open, we can close, we open, it's the right one. Wonderful. Let's open it again. Oh, here's a bug, right? If we open it and then close and then try to open again, hey, it's done. So what we want to do then is, I suppose, we don't want that to be a toggle. So that's another thing we'll have to work on. We want it, yeah, we want to change how that behaves. So my timer's up, so I'm not going to work on that now because basically it works. There's just one little bug that we've encountered. But wow, okay, so we got the functionality that we wanted. Let me go back up in the live chat to where we left off. And I'm going to answer everything in the live chat, and then we'll wrap things up. Let's see, what time did I stop? 12:35. Also, if you need me to go over anything that I just did, please let me know in the live chat. I'd be happy to go back over. It's possible that I skipped through something really fast that wasn't straightforward. Sometimes I tend to do that if I start to get into it. 38. That was actually pretty good. I won't say I was in like flow state because it's hard to do when I'm doing a stream, but it's pretty close. I haven't gotten into that flow state in so long. I need to, because I need to get some work done. All right. Evo says, quick question, what are your opinions on server-side React, like Next.js, for example? What could be better and what are its strong sides? I really like server-side React. The server-side rendering is nice. I think it's strong. The strong side point is you can, your content is available to search engines, which is awesome. You can do caching of the markup on the server side, which lets you serve it up really quickly. So I think that's cool. I like that. As far as what could be better, I really like the way Next does it. It makes it easy. I suppose it does require you to use Node on your server, which otherwise you don't necessarily need to use Node with React. Not really a problem for me. I like using Node, but not everybody might be able to use it. The other downside, I don't know. That's kind of it for me. I'm sure there are other things. I just can't think of any right now. Vivek says, what is React? Is React like NetBeans or something? Andrew says React's a JavaScript library for building user interfaces. Yeah, that's a really good answer. So yeah, check it out. If Vivek, check out the React documentation. It'll explain a lot more about what React is. Evo says it's a library developed by Facebook, which allows you to create browser applications in JavaScript. Yeah, definitely. It can actually do even more than that, but just for like a simple explanation, then keep it like that. Vivek says, oh, like Google developed AngularJS. Exactly. I know they're not exactly in the same class, like Angular and React. But for the purposes of this question, if you kind of think of them and being in a similar category, then that's right. That's a good way to think of it. Andrew says, I've seen some people refer to React as a framework, but I think since it's only a Vue library is more accurate. I do see those terms used interchangeably, though. Andrew, I think you're right on with that. It's really easy to use them interchangeably. I do it sometimes accidentally, but you're right. Technically, I believe React is a library and not a framework, and for the very reason that you said. It's only the view. So your traditional MVC model view controller, or some people say MV star, however you want to do it, React is really only the view part in that model, whereas something like Angular, you could do the entire MVC just with Angular. Evo says, oh, okay, in regard to it being like Angular, he says, it's not really like Angular. There are some differences. You should look into them and pick one you like. Yeah, there are definitely, well, kind of, we just explained some of the differences there. Conda says, React, that's crazy. Starting learning this week. It's hard. Hoping to understand better. Big ups, Jesse. Oh, thanks. Yeah, hopefully that this stream helps a bit. And feel free to ask me any questions. There are some other videos on this channel that are more like beginner tutorial on React, so check those out if you get a chance. Evo says, Jesse, a mechanical keyboard is godlike. I have a Cherry MX Blue, and I love to sit there all day and type random things. Oh, man, I really think I might have to get a mechanical keyboard. Hey, maybe if my crypto investments take off, then I'll get a mechanical keyboard. How about that? Yeah, but Evo, you make it sound so enticing. I want to try one now. Bilakaya says, thank you for doing this with 2 thumbs up. You're welcome. I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Peter says, I would highly recommend the Magic Trackpad 2. It charges with a lightning cable and has force touch functionality, and it looks slick AF. If you know what AF means, then you know. Otherwise, I'm not going to explain it. All right, cool. I'm going to have to look into that. I could probably get my work to pay for that. I haven't had any work-related expenses for a while, so I think it'd be okay. I wonder if I could get him to pay for a mechanical keyboard. I bet I could. I'll try. Let's see. Jacob was saying I need to wrap the list item with parens in the arrow function. I believe that was for the map. But so I guess you don't need the parens. Yeah, let's check that out for a second. Where's our drawer item for a map? With an arrow function, did we wrap it in parens? I guess we ended up doing it in parens, didn't we? You know what? I think it auto-formatted to do it in parens, but technically you don't need parens. So, yeah, I think you don't need parens. What is it? If it's all on one, can be on one line. I forget exactly which situation you need it and which you don't, but I don't think it's required. Although, based on our rules for our JavaScript style, we do automatically put those in. I usually don't do it when I'm actually typing it out, but I don't mind if they get added in. It can make things a bit more readable. Actually, that I should definitely commit this. Git status, double check. Alright, git add, or git commit, am. Let's see, open. New feature, open. Expand. GitHub has GitHub, I think it's Udacity, has a guide for the way they do commits, and this is one of the ways they do it. I'm not 100% sure I want to enforce a guide for commit messages just yet, but it does come in handy here to categorize things. So that's one of the things I'm considering. If you all know of another guide for commit messages that you like, I'm happy to check it out. It would be probably a good idea at some point to enforce some type of formatting of commit messages. And we'll do Git Push origin. Cool. Now everything we've done is now available on our repo, so you can check that out and clone it, play with it, and improve it if you'd like, and submit a pull request. Oh, okay, so Rook has something from the React docs. We were talking about what to use as the key earlier when we were mapping through, and it says from React docs, we don't recommend using indexes for keys if the order of items may change. This can negatively impact performance and may cause issues with component state. So works, but performance. Alright, cool. So yeah, the order doesn't change here, so it's probably okay to use. I usually never use it unless I really can't think of anything else. But so just in general, I don't. But I guess it's acceptable in circumstances where the order won't change. Sanjay says, how do you handle responsive design with MaterialUI? Does it have grids, or do you write custom flexbox? It comes with its own grid components, and that handles a lot of that. So a lot of it's kind of built in if you use their components properly. Let's see. Random says, what is the theme variable in the styles method, and how do components get access to it? Alright, so to get more info on that, check out the MaterialUI documentation for the beta version. But essentially, we have like this with styles down here. We're importing it up here as well. And that ties it all together. So I haven't read the documentation on that for a while, and I think Harshit might have set it up for this one, so I don't feel comfortable going into it right now. I don't think I could explain it properly, but inside the component, that's how it is. If you want to check out how to set that up in the root, then I would check out the documentation or check out the repo and see kind of what we're doing in the root component. Let's see. Let's see. Rook says, capitalization spelling is the main cause of errors for me. Glad to see I'm not alone. Yeah, for sure. That's always a cause of errors. Rook says, things like that, changing the false to true, makes me really happy for some reason. And seeing it work afterwards, of course. Yeah, it is satisfying. All right, Harshit, I see where you're saying to change the printer ESLint integration to true and editor format on save to true. I will do that. Not right now, but I will do that. Steven says, hey Jesse, went ahead and applied a couple UI UX entry web development jobs. Applied to, sorry, I missed the two. To a couple of UI UX entry web development jobs to see what happens. I live in Austin, Texas, which currently has a ton of openings. Thanks for the support. Oh, yeah, no problem. And congratulations on applying. I hope you get some interviews and get a job. So, yeah, that's awesome. And, applying to as many places as you can definitely helps your odds of getting a job. So, I would say even apply to places that maybe you think you're a little bit not, underqualified for. You never know. You might get a job. So you never know what candidates they're going to get. But please let me know how it goes. Let me know if you get an interview and stuff. And, good job. Good job applying. Let's see. All right, Harshit's saying change the previous to true and it will fix the bug at the last line. Well, here's the thing though. I don't think it will. It'll fix the bug, but it'll cause another one, right? Because we're using this same thing for our clicks for this. So then what would happen is every time we clicked, it would just keep saying true. So we could open, but we wouldn't be able to close. So we need to do something. We need to do something about that. So, like I said, that solution will fix one thing and then cause another bug. Unless I'm misunderstanding the solution. Bruce says, hey Jesse, mind if I ask you a question about a project I'm doing? Yeah, no problem. Ask away. Harshit said, without Node, there is no server-side rendered React. Yeah, as far as I know, that is definitely the case. Evo says, a mechanical keyboard is really cool. You have 4 different main types, brown, black, red, and blue, and you need to research the differences. A classmate of mine invests in crypto. It crashed last week, and it was so sad to see. Also, by the way, with Cherry MX Blue, I was referring to the switch style, usually color-coded. The brand itself is a ducky one. Good keyboard. Keycaps could be better. All right, so yeah, I'll do my research on the keyboards when I'm ready to purchase one. Yeah, the crypto thing is, I'm no expert in crypto, but I'll just say it's funny to me seeing the headlines because, like, I get the headlines, on my phone about things going on in crypto, and they're always so behind. So, like, the headlines will say, like, oh, the crypto market crashed, but then if you look at the actual prices, they already recovered. It moves so fast, it's hard for the news to keep up. It's kind of funny to me. The market's crazy. Like, if you invest anything in cryptocurrency right now, it better be money that you can afford to just lose. Because do I think it's going to crash to nothing? No. But there's really no guarantee. It's just really wild right now. So it's kind of fun. I don't think it's a gamble. I think it's a little bit better odds than a gamble if you do it right, but it's not a safe investment at all. So I don't want anybody like saying that I'm endorsing it or thinking you should put all your money in it right now. If you have a little bit of extra money that you wouldn't mind losing, then I think crypto is a cool place to put it. You might get lucky on that. Opening setting menus. Steven says, how do teams accept you when you are underqualified for positions? I don't want to go to a job to fail. Kind of worries me. Are most teams supportive of teaching? I don't really know. It would depend on the team, to be honest with you. I've heard people talk about going into teams and feeling like they don't know what they're doing and they're not being supported. Sometimes they work through that and it's okay. Sometimes they don't. It really just depends on the team, to be honest with you. So you hopefully in your interview process, you'd be able to get some sort of feel for that. But some places just kind of expect you to learn on your own. Some places do a really good job of mentoring. It's just hard to know. If you can talk to people that already work at a place, that's probably your best way of finding out. Deboprio says, "Hey Jesse, when I click on About and open Academics, then the About section remains open. Can you make the About section to not remain open, similarly for the others?" Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I definitely want that to be the case. So that's another thing. So when any one of these are clicked, we want to automatically shut everything else and only open this. Oh, wait a second. That'll fix our bug. That'll fix it. Hold on. Yeah. Okay, so this will fix our bug. If the first thing that happens is everything gets turned to false and then the one you click on gets open, that'll fix the bug because it'll automatically be false and then it'll get open every time you click. The only thing that'll happen is if you try to open it again, this will be open, but I think that's fine. I think that's actually a good behavior. So they both prio. Oh, okay, so it's pronounced Deboprio. 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 All right, I'm gonna try my best to remember that. Thank you for letting me know how to pronounce that. All right, cool. You know what? Let's see. Spin item. Okay. Wait a second. Is this not going to work? Expected tab or space. Alright, cool. I'm putting that comment in there, and that way I'll remember to write this. Basically, we'll just have to do something like this, but set everything to false. Yeah, that'll work. Cool. Evo says, I have a rather personal question. How did you end up at your current job, and how was your first day? I ended up at my current job. So I was freelancing, but it was a little bit stressful, especially for my wife, because we didn't know how much money we'd make every month. I had some clients that I had steady income from, but then I had other times where it would just be, some months I'd have a lot of work, some months I wouldn't. So that was really stressful for her, not knowing, would we have money for this or that, not being able to plan and budget. So I decided to start applying for jobs. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. Freelancing, I was not making as much money as I wanted to be making. Our family was growing. And I was trying to get into some other markets because my local market is economically depressed right now, and it has been for years. So there just wasn't a lot. There wasn't a lot of high-paying jobs. It was all really small jobs, and it wasn't worth all the work. So I had kind of broken into the market around New York City, and I started to get clients and referrals there. So things were picking up, but I still thought, what, it'll be a good idea if I just apply some other places. It would definitely make my wife happy. And we would, basically have some more security and stability, which is definitely a good thing when you have kids. At the time, I had 3 kids at the time. So I started applying for jobs. I actually took a job, and it was a work-from-home job. And I was in kind of a trial period to see whether or not I liked the job or whether or not they wanted to keep me. But at the end of that period, I was going to get hired full time. So I had started doing that, and I was doing that for a while, and then I heard back about this job, which I had applied to months before. It took a really long time. And so it was kind of a funny thing. I applied for a job called Academic Web Coordinator. Obviously, I'm not the Academic Web Coordinator, so I didn't get the job. It came down between me and one other person, who happens to be the guy that works in the office right next to me, who's a really nice guy. But I went through all the interview process. They kept calling me back for more interviews, in person and on the phone, and I'm like, why do they keep asking me more questions? And finally, they called me to come back in person again. And at that point, I'm thinking, what could they possibly ask me? I come in there and they hand me a job description, and it's for a totally different job. And they asked me what I thought about it. And I said, I read over it, and I said, it looks good. It looks like a good job. And they said, good, that's what we wanted to hear. Would you rather do this job or the other job you originally applied for? And I said, well, honestly, I'd rather do this job because it seems like it has a much broader scope. I'd get to do more stuff with the web. Web development. And so they said, great, we're going to offer you this job, and we already offered the original job to the other guy. And so that's how it worked out. So I got hired. I started a few weeks later, and my first day was just me meeting everybody and figuring out where things were. I didn't have a computer for the first few days because the computer they had ordered me just took forever to come in. And eventually I had another employee had switched departments and they hadn't hired her replacement yet, so I took that computer and put it in my office and had something to work with for a while before my actual computer came in. So I don't really remember that much from my first day, other than I didn't have a computer, and an employee, Sharon Ann, who I love Sharon Ann, she was like the office mom, and she was so sweet. She made signs for me, so there was signs at the door, little signs on the floor leading up to the office, and just really welcoming. So that was awesome. It was a really cool first day. Everybody was super nice. It was way different than it is now. They totally redid the building, remodeled everything. So I didn't have an office before. I had a cubicle. It was weird. It was really wild. The building was so different. But that was kind of my first day. So sorry, that was a long story. But I guess it answers your question, I suppose. So that's how I got here. It's nice. They have good health insurance benefits, so that's great for the kids. And steady income, it's salary work, retirement plan, and my wife and I and my kids can take classes here for free. It's going to be a long time before my kids are old enough to come here. Who knows if I'll be working here by then, but if it does happen, it'll end up being worth a lot. Anyway, that's how I ended up here. My original title was Integrated Marketing Communications Coordinator. After a year, it switched to Front-End Developer, which is way more appropriate for what I actually do. But that's the story. All right. Oh, Harshit says, that is exactly for my name, but you don't pronounce it terribly. So I don't pronounce it 100% correctly? I really want to. Let me know how I'm supposed to pronounce it. Bruce says, hey Jesse, sorry, what I wanted to ask you earlier was, would you recommend doing a WordPress theme from scratch or redesigning an existing theme? It depends on how comfortable you are with the whole process. If this would be your first time doing it, then maybe it'll be easier to just take an existing theme and redesigning it. I find that to be a lot easier most of the time and faster. you end up with a lot of stuff usually that you don't need, but it's quick. If you were to start from scratch and redesign a theme, my advice would be start from scratch and make a basic theme that you can then copy and reuse later on. So you don't want to be starting completely from scratch every single time. I think that's a waste of time. But if you want to build your own base theme and then just make child themes off of that, I think that's the way to go. Because there's a lot of things that'll probably stay the same from no matter what you want to do. So make that first and then go off it. But as I said, it kind of really depends on what you're most comfortable with. Steven says, the starting pay for almost all positions here in Austin is nuts. I just need to get my foot in the door. That's cool. Yeah, honestly, when I see the pay for developers sometimes, like at bigger companies and things, I think, wow, that would be really nice. It's definitely tempting for me. James says, what are some good ways to get freelance work for beginners? If you want to try to go on the freelance site, sometimes that works. I didn't have much luck with freelance websites, but some of them you can go to, like TopTal makes you take a test first, and they're kind of like the middleman between you and good companies. So I would be more inclined to do something like that as opposed to something like Freelancer, where it's basically just a bidding war and who could bid the lowest. If you want to go local, I would say just start asking people and find local businesses that maybe you can improve their website or they don't have a website. If you really have time and you really need work, then just make a basic website for a company and then show it to them and say, hey, here's what I've done for your website. You know, even if it's just a mock-up or like a redesign of maybe just the homepage. And say, are you interested in my services? I could build you out a whole website, or I could show you what I've done. You know, sometimes it's easier to show people the results to convince them that they really need it. You know, maybe they don't realize how much better their website could be. That takes a lot of work, and it's kind of like you put yourself out on a limb because you're doing work without getting paid. But what you really do need to do is build up your portfolio and get those referrals. You know, maybe try to target business people in your area that you know have a lot of connections. And that's where you want to get. If they're happy with what you do, they're way more likely to tell other people. So a lot of local networking might be your thing. If you want to try to branch out to another area, like me, my economic area is not great for that, then you might want to try to really target ads or different SEO at another area, a bigger city maybe. It's going to be tough. But once you get your foot in the door and you do a good job for one company, it becomes a lot easier to do things for other companies, especially if you can get referrals. You can try to have referral deals, like tell your existing clients, you know, if you refer me, you'll get a gift card, or I'll do so much work for free for you. That helps. I've done that before. All right. Okay, so Harshit has pasted his name in Hindi, so I can check out Google Translate. Oh, cool. Harshit's name means joyful. Excellent. That's an awesome name. And let me listen to this. Harshit. All right, I'm gonna work on that. It's so subtle. Like I can tell I'm not saying it exactly right, but the difference is so subtle. I'm having a hard time like grasping it. I need to use I used to take like acting classes and stuff when I was a teenager, and we went over accents before, and one of the key things to learning another accent is learning where they position their tongue in their mouth when they're talking. So maybe I'll have to check out, you know, that part of the world, what's the correct way to place your tongue. And if you can figure that out, it makes it so much easier to to say words in that language and make it sound correct. So maybe I'm missing something like that. Bruce says, thanks, I'm new to developing WordPress themes, so it's a new field for me, and that's really good advice to make your own basic theme and work from that. Cool, yeah, and there are some bare bones themes out there that you could take and work from, so man, I can't, it's been so long since I've done WordPress themes, I can't remember what, like, the basic themes are, so I'm really sorry about that. I used to know, I mean, this is like maybe 4 years ago. I used to know a lot about WordPress, but I've been out of it for so long. I don't even know if the stuff I used to use is even, still in use. Olshaus says, how important to know algorithm and data structures in front-end web development on a scale of 10? How close A and DS algorithm data structures is related to front end? Personally, in the day-to-day work as a front end developer, I don't deal with it that much, but it may come up in an interview. Some companies really like to test you on lots of different things. So if you want to interview, try to do your research and figure out what companies use, what kind of questions they use, and you may want to learn more about that. But personally, I've done very little with that. But I don't know. I might not be a good example for the average developer. I'm not really sure. Let's see. Steven says, the problem that I have is I'm moving from education, 10 years as a teacher. I learned HTML, CSS, jQuery, Git, Sass, Bootstrap, all on the side for the fun. Trying to make a move has been the hardest. Oh, cool. I used to be a teacher as well. I taught for almost 4 years. And then I moved into freelance web development. So I understand it's tough to make the move. Steven says, just hard finding a front-end dev job that doesn't require React, Angular, etc. Yeah. Well, I mean, try to brush up on your React skills. There are definitely still a lot of places out there that have jQuery-based websites. So there's definitely a demand for that. It may not be one of the higher paying jobs right now, but if you'd like to get a job and you don't quite know enough React yet, that might be a better way to go. Or even freelancing. There's probably a lot of freelance work you can pick up that's jQuery based. VJ says, can we use Bootstrap in React? You can use Bootstrap in React. I would recommend using a React Bootstrap library instead of trying to use like the normal Bootstrap. I think it'll be a lot easier for you. You'll run into less problems like that. Oh, cool. Harshit put my name into Hindi and put it in the live chat. That's awesome. Let's see. Harshit says, what did you teach as a teacher? I taught Latin and religion, or like theology. So I taught at a Catholic high school. So we have theology classes there, which is not really normal. At least in the United States, most high schools don't teach theology, but we did. And so I taught sophomores, juniors, and seniors in high school. And yeah, so it was fun. I had a good time teaching. I hated the meetings, and I hated all the paperwork and handling discipline issues. I love being able to help out the students, being able to just like talk to them about subjects, especially I did a course on like theology, like history, like church history and things. It was really cool to just kind of like tell them stories of things that happened in history, and that was just fun. It was fun, and I got to help out students get through a lot of tough things happening in their lives. So I think I really had an impact, especially on, there are a few students I think I really had a big impact on. And so it was worth all the stuff that I didn't like just for that. But it didn't pay very much at all. It would have been impossible for me to support my family on what I was making. And it was tough. I taught 150 students every day. by the end of the day, I had headaches every single day. So there were things that I did not like about it, but I love my students, and I still talk to some of them and hear from them. And so, anyway, teaching is cool. Teaching is a very, very tough job. I do not think I'd want to go back to teaching high school. Steven says, I do have 9 presentations at TCEA next month, 3 at South by Southwest EDU, and 1 at South by Southwest Interactive, so I have that going for me. Wow, that's awesome. You got a lot of stuff going on. Steven, if any of those presentations are available online, I'd love to check them out. So please let me know. Send me some links. If you're on Twitter, you can just DM me on Twitter if you don't want to make them like public. They both prio. All right, is trying to pronounce that right. But anyway, it says, I'm in my 3rd year of my CS degree, computer science degree. I want to participate in Google Summer of Code this year. What should I start doing now so that the process gets easier? I'm not that familiar with Google Summer of Code, so I don't know how much I could help you. In general, I would just say, like, keep at it. Like, whatever types of languages or projects that they work on, I would start working on stuff like that now, so you're, like, in practice for that. Just a little bit every day or every other day will probably help you. Let's see. Let's see. VJ says, learning Photoshop will add any value to web design. Yeah, Photoshop can, for sure. There are some other programs like Photoshop, Sketch, Adobe XD, I think they call it. Those ones are all used. I think if you just know one of them, you should be fine. But for web design, you know, a lot of the Adobe products are usually what people use. Harshit says, I'm also planning to participate in Google Summer of Code this year. I've gained quite a lot of confidence in my skills last year. Says, that is not the same here, man. It is regional. Let's see. Specifically. That's cool. I'm going to have to look up this Google Summer of Code stuff. I want to know what it's all about. Vince says, in regard to using React with Bootstrap, says there is a specific version of Bootstrap that's built specifically for use with React. So if you Google React Bootstrap, that'll be there. So thanks, Vince. That's definitely helpful. Harshit says, but that's ridiculous. I don't know what was ridiculous. I don't remember what I was talking about there. Steven says, if you go to my Twitter handle, I have my education website listed. Okay, cool. I'll let me copy and paste your Twitter handle now so I don't forget. All right, cool. I just followed you. It says it's the hyperlink with Steven Muniz in it. Cool, I'm on the site right now. I'll check that out. Thanks for sharing that. Okay. I'm really exhausted now. I need a little break. I need some food in me. So, thank you all so much. I had a great time. Well, mainly because number one, everything worked. Number two, you are awesome and really helpful and supportive and positive. So, I'll be back tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. And until then, have a great day.